Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smart, and I'm back at it again with another video. So this is gonna be something a little bit more off the cuff because I wasn't really planning on doing anything as far as like just off the cuff content. I figure like if something were to, come out later on today and it would have been really big news, I can cover that. But something just off the cuff, haven't done in a while, especially about WWE content, which true. I mean, yeah, I think AEW needs primary focus, but I need to start diversifying like I used to and start talking more about WWE, whether in a positive or negative light. I know, spouting the obvious here, but we're going to do that right now by talking about Netflix. So real quick, I want to give a quick shout out because he's the one that inspired this entire video. Hang on for a second. Sir John Legion, and he dropped a comment. And he was saying, hey, Devontae, Triple H just confirmed Netflix will strictly be PG era stuff, right? I guess he means like the rating is going to be a PG rating. So I should stop seeing those. And I quote, WWE Raw Netflix is going to be wild. They bringing back the Attitude Era and comment section. It's a wrap. But I knew that was going to be the content rating going forward anyway. Didn't shock me at all. I'm done with it. I can live with binge watching the old Monday Night War, Attitude Era, and Ruthless Aggression Era content and documentaries. Can I say this though? And yeah, you know what? I get that people are going to be upset by that. I understand. If you ask me personally, I would like the content to be more edgier. I prefer it that way. I think for me, the Attitude Era was the best experience as a wrestling fan, and the Ruthless Aggression Era is a close second. I thought those two, in particular, I can give you some years between, for me at least, as a more consistent wrestling fan, I can tell you right now, for me, the year 1997 all the way up to like maybe, I'll tell you, I'll give you one even better. Like 1997 to 2004. But more in particular, at least for me, when I watched it like every single week, and it was like a goddamn religion when I watched it live, not going back watching VHSs or DVDs, I will say for me, the night after WrestleMania 16, back in the year 2000, right? WrestleMania 2000. The night after that, all the way up to, I want to say, WrestleMania 20, when Benoit won the World Heavyweight Championship. That time frame between the spring of 2000 to essentially the spring of 2004, for me at least, I think I can count on one hand how many times I missed the episode of Raw or SmackDown. It was just must-see television in between those time frames. And yeah, all that stuff was very adult oriented. All that stuff was very politically incorrect, right? But more importantly, we got a bunch of good characters in that time frame. You look at the main event scene, obviously, in that time frame, Austin, Rock, Taker, Angle, Kane. As time started to go on forward, obviously Cena, Lesnar, Batista, Orton, even guys who were used as undercard, who eventually became main eventers, guys like Benoit or Guerrero or JBL and stuff like that. And it's, reoccurring people who came back after being gone for a long time, like Shawn Michaels, for an example. New faces coming from different companies, like, who became main eventers in their own right as time went on, like, Rob Van Dam or Booker T, for an example. All these names were just, we were blessed. We were very, very blessed. That's why the brand split worked so effectively, and you didn't have to do like you're doing right now with both shows having to commingle with each other, even though they're claiming a brand split, because the stuff and the people that we had back then were just the stars were so big. You know what I mean? You could take one of the least over main eventers at that time, and you could plop them in this generation, and they're probably going to be top 3. You know what I mean? Like, you take someone like a Rob Van Dam for an example, and his popularity in 2001, 2002. You take that Rob Van Dam, he's for sure gonna be one of the biggest stars in WWE today by far, probably top 5. And AEW, that's their number 1 guy. You know what I mean? That just tells you how diverse the talent pool was back in the days. And it's like, yeah, edgy content back then was all the rage. That was just society back then. But it's not to say that today they need to be edgy. It wasn't about the edginess. You know, there was times where it's like the edginess was done so many times that it just became kind of a thing, right? It's kind of like the wrestling nowadays, you know what I mean? Like, back then, you didn't have a lot of great wrestling like you would today. Like, the great wrestling happened typically on pay-per-views and stuff like that. That's why it was so easy to make a top 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time list, because it's like all you have to do is just go throughout the years, and you're probably going to get at best maybe if you're lucky, like 5 solid 4-star matches throughout the year. But those 4-star matches really fucking hit, and they're so easy to remember because they have so few and far between. Whereas today, every damn week is going to be a 4-star match. You know what I mean? Every damn week you're bound to get a 4-star match, especially from a company like AEW, for an example. It's just something that's the norm. Versus back then, you got a bunch of stories. No matter who, what, when, where, someone down the card, everybody had something going on. Especially in the Attitude Era when Russo was running it. Everybody had something to do. Everybody was involved in something. Doesn't matter. You can go as low on the low. Look at 2000 for an example. Look at D'Lo Brown and what was it? Maybe Chaz from whatchamacallit, from the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. I think it was it wasn't Mosh, right? If I'm not mistaken, Mosh and D'Lo Brown. They had a tag team. Did you guys know that? Either Mosh or Thrasher, one of those two. They were called Lowdown, and they had the Muslim guy who used to make the people do all the crazy shit in the middle of the ring. Who I can't remember his name. It's slipping my fucking mind right now. Holy shit, it's slipping my mind. His dad's really rich in real life. So he's from Canada. Probably got Jinder Mahal in the business. But my point being is, though, that right there, they were so over. You were giving jobber tag team stuff to do. Kai and Tai going up on stage. Indeed, we are evil. Look at that. They're literal jobber tag teams who are at least getting characters, bruh. Super fucking racist, but nevertheless, though, it was politically incorrect. No one really gave a shit like that back in the days. You know, that's what they need to focus on when going on Netflix. You know, like, being edgy was fun and it was cool, and the era still called for it, and I'm not opposed to it nowadays, but I would take just great story development overall and just having purpose for people throughout the card than I ever would take over just being edgy because it's funny and it just so happened to give people something to do. You know what I mean? Take Raw for an example. I think Raw, as of late, I can't sit down and watch a full episode because of my job, but like for the times that I can catch a full episode when I'm not really doing much and I'm sitting in my office and I'm doing paperwork and I have it on in the background for the past month or so, especially these last 2 weeks, because I've been catching highlights of it, Raw's been fucking killing it. You know, I think the main wrestlers who are on the roster right now, happening throughout the time frame of the show, they're absolutely killing it. And it sucks that they're gonna, I'm not sure, someone can correct me if they are going back to the 3-hour format when going to Netflix. I think they are. That's gonna suck. Those 2-hour Raws with all of that condensed into 2 hours is fucking fantastic. It's fucking fantastic. The PG rating isn't the problem. I mean, I think we've heard this before from most people. It's not the PG rating that's the problem. It's the writing. You know, it's the staffing. It's the characters that you're trying to develop. You know, like, you don't, just because you have a PG rating doesn't mean everybody has to run around acting like fucking Teletubbies and shit like that. You can still be like edgy and stuff like that while still being PG, but at the same time, not too overtly edgy. I know people are going to probably be like, well, Devontae, back in the days, SmackDown was considered PG, and they used to have, yeah, but the PG guidelines, I gotta assume, has been rectified compared to, PG in 2001. PG in 2001 is not going to be the same as PG in 2024. I never really understood people who made arguments like that. That's so stupid. I mean, just, I don't know, pick up a guidelines book and read what qualifies as what. I mean, that's so stupid to think that PG in fucking 1998 is going to be the exact same standards as today when society was completely different back then. But like I said, you don't have to. I mean, here's my thing. I'll put it to you this way. You tell me how this sounds, guys. You took a quality bloodline angle, say from 2022, right? You take the Drew McIntyre stuff with CM Punk, right? You take the current New Day angle going on right now, right? That's cool. That's nice. You take what Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser and the story of Sheamus right now. You take Shinsuke Nakamura right now as the United States champion and building that up. You take what's going on right now with the Motor City Machine Guns and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. You take the stuff currently going on right now with the women and their tournaments involving the United States and Intercontinental Championship, and you take the stuff right now with Rhea Ripley and her redemption arc to get the World Heavyweight Championship back from Liv Morgan, and you take the stuff that's currently going on with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax right there. I just went down the entire fucking championship lineage for the most part, right? All that stuff. Oh, and obviously Cody and Kevin. Obviously. And then you take the stuff that's currently going on right now with, like I said, I would much prefer taking that championship and giving it to Drew McIntyre because I think he'll be a stronger world champion. Hence why I brought up Punk and McIntyre if that was for a world championship. But what I'm saying is you have the potential to always circulate a story around the title and it's going to be good. Nowadays, if you want to. All those stories at their peak were really, really fucking good. Now imagine them all happening at the same time between both of the SmackDowns and Raws. And both shows went 2 hours. Like they are right now. You see, the shows are good nowadays. In my opinion, I know people may have a different opinion, but I think SmackDown and especially Raw are very consistent. I think they're very, very good shows nowadays. And it's like, I'm not saying I'm doing anything. I'm not sure of the rating for Raw nowadays, whether it's PG or TV-14, but I can tell you right now, from what I'm seeing from both shows right now, especially Raw, this is much better than anything that happened for the most part, like throughout the 2010s. I can tell you right now, I don't think anything in the 2010s touch what Raw is doing currently at the moment. I think Raw right now is fucking smacking on all cylinders. We'll see how it's going to be when it goes on Netflix, but it's to suggest that you don't need to be edgy. You don't need to be so, outgoing with what you have to do. All you need is just solid characters and solid writing. That's it. I would take what the Bloodline did with Sami Zayn between, say for an example, Survivor Series going into the Royal Rumble. I would take that late October to maybe even WrestleMania, honestly. Late October of 2022 to WrestleMania 40. I'll take that entire time frame with the Bloodline and I'll put that over almost like 95% of the stuff that happened in the Ruthless Aggression era. Dead ass serious. That was a fucking insanely good story. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, for the most part, you have to condense their storyline though, because it happened more spread out. But Punk and McIntyre, when condensed, I'll take that over the majority of stuff that I've seen back in the days. Yeah, they had an insanely good feud. It just was more spread out, so obviously you're going to reflect on it a little bit differently. But you take all their stuff and then condense it into like 2 or 3 months. That's a top-notch feud. And don't even get me started with the Hell in a Cell match. That's the best match of the year to me. There are things that they have been doing that have absolutely been snapping. Obviously, you look at Cody Rhodes. I mean, I'm trying not to use Cody Rhodes and stuff like that because that would involve The Rock. And, you'd probably be like, well, yeah, that's proof that the Attitude Era. Yeah, but no one's knocking the Attitude Era, obviously. If I can get the Attitude Era back, I'll do it in a heartbeat. But it's not to suggest that what they're doing right now is bad. And it's not to suggest that them going to Netflix and now it's going to still be a PG rating, that it's going to be bad. You know, like, and also I could tell you right now, you know, the stuff that happened in the Attitude Era that Vince Russo was booking, they weren't all great either. You know, I think the majority of the stuff Vince Russo booked, you know, was great. That filtered onto TV. Obviously, some of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. But it's not to suggest that the shit that he was doing was also insanely good at the time. You know what I mean? I thought the higher power angle for, you know, Vince McMahon to be revealed was absolute dog shit when you really think about it. Especially considering that you just turned him face after turning him heel, just turn him right back heel again. It was all over the fucking place. It was jumbled up. The confusion amongst the World Championship title picture between July and August was completely like AEW level of fucking cringe. Especially when they were considering putting China in the main event against Austin for the World Championship. That was a Vince Russo idea. Even little small things like Choppy Choppy My Pee-Pee, or fucking having PMS and Terry Reynolds have a miscarriage. Like, stupid shit like that was just like, what the fuck is this? Having Mark Henry walk on in to a transvestite. You know, like, it's just stupid fucking shit. Now, the stupid fucking shit does not overshadow the greatness of what Vince Russo did. Obviously, Austin and McMahon. You know, obviously the stuff that happened with D-Generation X and invading Norfolk Arena. The Ministry of Darkness, for an example. Undertaker and Kane in general, obviously. You know, the rise of the women for the most part. Yeah, you're not going to take away all the stuff that Vince... He has done more good than he has done bad, but it's not as if he hasn't done bad. And Triple H. He's probably going to make a bunch of mistakes. Triple H has not been a perfect booker. In fact, I will argue that Triple H has done more bad than he has been good, because almost all the fundamental stories that you're seeing right now, especially more in line with the bloodline, that was all started under Vince's regime. Like, I'm not saying that it was him that did the entire idea for the bloodline. That'd be stupid. But what was greenlight initially for the bloodline to get to the spot where Triple H can just take it over, that was all Vince. People forget. Everything, maybe up until like Sami Zayn joining the bloodline, was all Vince. The initial arc of Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, that was Vince. I think people forget that. Maybe they want to forget that. I don't know. They don't want to give him his credit. It is what it is. That's on you. But what I am suggesting is, yeah, but Triple H has, at least from what I have been seeing on Raw lately, he's been killing it. And even SmackDown. SmackDown isn't better than Raw right now, but SmackDown has been very good as of late also, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm just willing to just sit back and wait it out and see where it goes from here. I don't think a rating should be used in order to judge a book by its character. And don't even get me started also, just to kind of put a bow tie on this. I mean, obviously the Hulkamania era was PG. You know, like, you can argue, obviously, the PG era or the PG rating in the New Generation era was very, 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 very missed versus hit, because you could probably name like 5 things between 93 and 97, or 93 and 96, and mainly most of that stuff comes from 95, 96. You know, like, really, you got 93, nothing for the most part happened in 1993. I mean, the biggest angle in 93 was fucking Luger body slamming Yoko, and like, come on. I mean, 94, you had Bret and Owen, that was fucking awesome, and the rise of Shawn Michaels, and maybe you can argue to a lesser degree, maybe Taker and Yoko. But outside of that, oh, and also Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris kicks ass. But outside of that, like, you didn't get shit. But the PG era and the Hulkamania stuff, you know, obviously all the angles that ran when Hogan was on top during the Rock and Wrestling stuff was fucking fantastic. There's too many to name throughout the division. In fact, there's probably more proof that PG was more successful than TV-14. There is more proof that PG was more successful than AEW is. I don't know if they're TV-14 now, but I think they are. AEW, if not now, they have been TV-14 the majority of their run, and AEW is absolute dog shit. They're one of the worst wrestling programs, period. And they're TV-14. Their TV-14 stuff doesn't come anywhere near close to what Raw's been doing lately. Not even fucking close. Just saying, man. You don't need TV-14 for it to smack. You don't. All you need is good story. You need good characters. Doesn't hurt to have sexy women and stuff like that. Doesn't hurt to be TV-14. but the rating doesn't make the show. The show makes the rating. But with that being said, sorry about the 50 controversial moments. I lost my notebook. I have to curate another list this week, but I figure I should get you a video out. And something happens really big, I'll cover it later on this evening, because within the next hour, I'm off from work today, but I have a lot of shit that I have to do and I have to confirm and I have to bog down. So I'm gonna get ready to take a shower and go run some errands. If anything big happens, I'll cover it later on this evening. But as always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. If you're curious about the 50 controversial moments, whatever, I have a deeper explanation in the community post that you can check out. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys later. Deuces, P. Ice. And if you're hearing this in the future, just forget that last part. The controversial moments are in the bottom of the playlist. Yeah, deuces, P. Ice.